Hello guys, welcome back to another video. I hope we're all doing okay. So in today's video I'm going to be talking to you about why you should consider leaving the UK. So I think it's fair to say that the UK has been on dramatic decline over the last few years compared to the country it once was. And I only see this heading in one way, and that's definitely downwards trajectory over the next few years. So yeah, I think you should really take this video seriously and consider the UK is not really the same place it used to be. So I'm going to give you a few points of why I think you should probably leave the UK, why it's not the same place as it used to be. So the first one, and I think the most important thing we need to consider, is the safety we have in the UK. I just don't think it's the same place as it was, especially when you see the rise in stuff such as knife crime. Like, you go to London and people just getting stabbed for absolutely no reason. You go out, like I went clubbing in London for New Year's, and I went to a club. I just didn't feel safe at all. You just don't know what people are carrying these days, and that's just really sad, I think. And I don't want to be in a country, I don't want to be in a city where I have to be really concerned about. I have to be looking and checking. I can't just have fun because I'm just concerned about my safety. I saw this study or something. I think it voted London as the best city in the world. I just think that's a joke. I think London is not a nice city. It once was, 10 years ago plus, yeah, maybe. But now it's just awful. Like I say, the stabbings is just horrific, and I only see that getting worse with the society. How the UK is run, or not ran very well at the moment. You used to see multi-millionaires, billionaires just come into the UK all the time. You'd see them driving around in their cars, and yeah, they'd come, especially in the summer, but this just doesn't happen anymore because they're concerned about their safety. They'll go in somewhere, they'll wear something nice, and if they're not having 5-10 members of security, then they just don't feel safe. They just never know who's going to be coming around the corner, who's got carrying what on them, who's going to have a knife. They can't risk that anymore. That's why they're not coming to the UK anymore. They're going to other places across the world, and that's a shame because the UK, especially London, was a very attractive city for a lot of people. A lot of investment came through London, and I think that's only going to decline over the next few years, few months, especially decades. I think we'll begin to see it. If some of you aren't really aware of this, yeah, but in the next few years you'll definitely begin to see it. So the second point I want to make is how degenerate the UK is, and the West overall, linking to the US, which are very similar to the US when it comes to stuff like the party culture, drinking, casual sex, poor diets, just addicted to social media and video games, all these bad habits. They're just ruining the future generation of these countries, all the young people. They're just all soft these days, and I think they're starting even younger and just getting addicted and just poor mental health through all these stuff that everyone's become addicted to. And there's big countries looking at the UK, such as China and Russia, very powerful countries. I think they're definitely on the rise, especially China. They'll probably control a lot over the future decades, and they'll be looking at the people of our country, and be like, well, they've got resources, they've got stuff that I want, and they're just probably coming like invaders one day. I would not be surprised if a war broke out in the next 10-20 years, because the UK is a weak country now, and I think it's only going to get weaker. So yeah, I think we should definitely be concerned about how degenerate the society has come. I think if you look at something like TikTok, it's actually China that owns the company of TikTok, and they get all our data from what we're looking at on TikTok. And in the China, I think it's 80 or 90% of the information and videos shared is all educational, whereas the UK, it's just what is it? It's basically just like child porn. It's just a load of rubbish. Obviously, yeah, you do get some parts of education from that, but it just kind of sums up how the UK is. We're just getting weaker, and countries around us are getting stronger, and it's just how it's always been through time. You just got to look for a history book, and it's kind of a sign of things to come. The third point I want to make is the overall economy. When you see stuff like taxes, the cost of living, political uncertainty, I think the economy over the last few years has been on decline, particularly through COVID. Now the cost of living crisis, it's just going to get worse. I think we've learned we can't trust the government at all, or the prime ministers. They're changing every 2-3 months. It's hard to even keep up. I don't watch the news because I don't believe in it. I think it's a load of rubbish. They're feeding us lies, but I can't even keep up who is the Prime Minister these days. And who is actually in charge of the country. I don't think it's the Prime Minister. I don't know who's making these decisions. 40% of our income we're earning in the UK is just going straight to the government, but they're not even, like, linking back to the first point, they're not even making us safe. It's just a disaster really nowadays, and yeah, I don't think we can trust them. And like, our safety is a massive concern. And you look at countries like the UAE, Dubai, where they have strict laws, and anything if you step out of line there, well, you'll be just thrown straight into prison. You'll probably never see the light of day again. Their safety is their top priority, so you can understand why a lot of people have gone over there. Somewhere I definitely want to consider in the future. You don't have to pay taxes as well, and yeah, it just ticks a lot of boxes which the UK doesn't. So yeah, I think we have to be concerned about the way the country is being run overall, because I think it's only going into the ground as things stand, and I don't really see how things are going to change, who's going to step up. Yeah, it's very concerning. And the fourth point, for me, a personal one that I hate, is the weather here. I think it's horrible. It's one of the reasons I've always kind of wanted to leave the UK. I just don't like the weather here. It's raining like 80% of the time. Like, I think you look out today, you can probably kind of tell in the back. It's just dark, it's gloomy, it's cold, it's wet, and this is kind of how the weather is throughout winter and stuff. And even in the summer, it's quite like humid. It's not like a really nice temperature. People don't really like it at all. The UK heat is just not nice. And there's not really, like, the beaches are just not the same here as they are abroad. And I'm not surprised, like, why you see so many people unhappy and depressed in the UK. Because of the weather. I think that's they don't see enough sunlight. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Why the people in the UK are so miserable definitely doesn't make me any happier. And you look at places that are just sunny all year round, and I think it definitely has a positive correlation, the weather and people's moods. I think that's obviously scientifically proven. So yeah, the weather is a big thing for me, and I'm sure it is for a lot of people who do live in the UK. But obviously for me, I am hoping to leave the UK in the next few years, obviously for reasons that I've mentioned in previous videos. Like, I'm unable to leave the UK now. It wouldn't be right for me to do so. But like, when I do plan to leave the UK, I don't really plan on like coming back to ever live. I'm obviously probably come and visit occasionally, but I'd never buy a house in the UK. I'd never plan on living here permanently. Come back for family reasons, to see friends maybe, but other than that, like, I just don't see the future very bright in the UK. I'm not very patriotic either, as some people are, which keeps them in the UK for a long time, but for me that's not the case. And I'm sure a lot of people will be like, yeah, I agree with these points. I don't really like the UK. I would prefer to live in a different country, but I've got my job here. I've got family here. I can't leave them. This is why, like, I encourage you to find a job where you can be locationally free. Like, a lot of jobs these days you can do remotely, and I'm sure if you put your mind to it and something like you really want to have that freedom of living wherever you want in the world, there's definitely a job out there. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. You don't have to have your own business. You could easily work for someone else and be wherever you are in the world. There's abundance of opportunities out there, so don't feel like you have to stay in the UK for your job. Like, if it's something that's really what you want to do and you really do want to leave the UK, then there'll definitely be a job out there. You just got to like think about these things. And yeah, I think a lot of people, why they haven't left the UK, because I speak to a lot of people about this issue and they're like, oh yeah, it's my family and my job and stuff, but you've just got to do what is best for you. And if you have to leave some family behind, then you got to just kind of get on with your life. Hopefully they'd come with you. If they're your close family, I'm sure you'll always keep in contact with them. And yeah, you can obviously come and visit, etc., as much as possible. But yeah, I think there's so many opportunities these days to work wherever you want and have a lot more freedom when it comes to work. So I would definitely encourage you to find a job like this. So yeah, I hope you understand why I think you should probably leave the UK before things get a lot worse. And maybe you don't understand yet. Maybe people will give me a bit of hate for this video and think the UK is nice and should be a bit more grateful, but yeah, we'll see. Personally for me, I made the decision I won't be living in the UK long term. Let me know what you guys think. I've got new videos coming every day for the rest of January, so if you could like, share, subscribe, it would help, mean a lot to me. And enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Peace, have a good one.